Hi there, I'll poke my head into the screen here. Today I want to show you something I did. I made one of these little tensegrity devices. I think Buckminster Fuller designed them. And you can see there is no support other than these three strings, and most of the stress is put on this center string. This one is made with kite string, and it has a little bit of wobble into it. But it's a design that I really like, so I'm going to try and convert this into something bigger. Here's another one I made, and this is made out of olive wood. And if I turn this around here, you can see the grain on the olive wood. But this one, instead of kite string, I use steel cables, little steel cables, and it is very, very strong. Like, I can take this gallon of paint, put it right there, and you can see it isn't stressing at all. So what I'm going to try and do is show you how to make one of these, and make it with this old olive wood log that I have here. So I'm going to take this log and I'm going to slice it off like pieces of bread, and I'm going to change this design. I don't really care for these kind of looping designs. I'm going to try and make something like just these slats that go this way and that way. I think it's cool to see that string, or in this case the cable, is going to be holding all that weight. Here it looks like it's wood holding up wood. So if you'd like to see how this is done, I have a couple of tricks to show you, so come along with me on the journey. I'm using a basic straight edge to find the center of this, and then after I get the center, I'm measuring a specific distance to make points that I can drill to. So here's my punch. I'm going to punch that in there, and then I can take it over to the drill press, and I'm going to show you a way to drill through two pieces of wood and have them stay exactly the same. And how are you going to hold them in place? We'll check it out. I put masking tape on the insides, and I put super glue on one side, super glue accelerator on the other side, and when I put them together and count to about 5, they're not going to go anywhere. So now I can take them to the drill press and punch a hole in and just punch all those holes. I can't make it all the way through, but I'll pull one off and then finish it off. Watch how this, it's marvelous. You just pry it loose, it breaks loose, peel off the tape, and you're set. I need to get rid of the bark, so I'm just going to take a chisel and tap it away. It comes off rather easy. Sometimes it's nice to leave the bark if you can glue it on and make it stay. Then I'll go over to a wire brush on the drill press. Notice I have the gloves for safety here. Now I want to copy this design, and this isn't rocket science, so I kind of get a basic angle that I want to cut. And then I bring it over and kind of guesstimate what kind of a height I want, make a mark, and go over to the drill press, and I can use this little jig I made to do a cross cut, and then duplicate that cross cut with a second piece of wood. And then after I get that done, I'll cut an angle on the end of these. So remove that jig, line it up, save my fingers with a piece of scrap wood, and gut through and cut that angle. Now I can take that angle and I can go over to my belt sander and just touch it against the belt and make sure any wobble from the blade is gone. And then I continue going back to the belt until I get the angle just the way I want it. So I found the center point of this, and what I want to do is I want to have that tension cord coming down right over the center. So I'm going to have these set about like that, and I'm going to bore a hole through both of them, and that hole is going to kind of come down like this, right through there. So then the string can be right over that hole. So that's my next project, and it looks like I'm going to have to mark a line. I'll just take and maybe I'll have that line go right through here. That's going to be an interesting hole to drill. So I'll take my drill press clamp and come right down through there. And when I turn the power on, I'll brace it a little bit here, but I come right through gently so it don't blow out the back side. And there we go. Now I'm going 90 degrees into the base where I can glue a peg, and that peg will go into the base. Now I'm going to take these center plugs, put them in the hole that I drilled, and locate where I want the corresponding hole in the base to be. Push real hard and get a little dent in there, and that'll show me exactly where I have to drill. So this is the hard part. I'm going to take this hole that I drilled and a little peg, put it in there, and then I can set this like that, and I can line it up so I can see the center hole right through this hole. And then I'm going to take and I put another center point there. I want this one to be directly under that one, lined up with that hole also, and I can see that it is. Then this is the hard part. I've got to get this around and set it right where it goes here, and that's not easy to do. So there's the spot, and if I screw up, I can always drill other holes there because it's on the bottom anyway. So now when I line this up, this is going to go just like that and hover in midair like that with the tension on the tension line right here. This will pop dark brown, and some of these lines will be dark brown, so I think it's going to be gorgeous when it's done. So here's my little secret. In each of these holes there's going to be a small 1/16 inch steel cable going down, and then I'm going to wedge a piece of the doweling in there, and I won't be able to wedge it unless there's a taper to start with. So what I'm going to do is take the dowel and just put a small taper on the end of it. Then I'll take it and put it in here, and I'll cut a small length of doweling. Once I have the dowel clamped, then I can cut it with my hacksaw. That's the best saw to use. And notice I scratched the dowel a little bit with a hacksaw so the glue has a place to go. Push it in, little nub comes up, and that's about what I need. Now I got to make a bunch more. I notice I have some big divots in the center of this, and I'm going to take 2-part epoxy and some crushed turquoise and see if I can make an inlay with that hole. It'll look better than a hole at least. I'm mixing up my 2-part epoxy, and then I'm going to sweep it into this deep hole. Little did I know that the hole was so deep that it sucked the epoxy down, and the turquoise was heavier than liquid, and it sunk in the hole, and that meant I had to pour more turquoise and epoxy on later. Well, this could be a disaster, but I have a puddle of epoxy with this turquoise crushed and put on top of it, and I'm going to sand it down flush, and hopefully it will look like turquoise inlay. We'll see. It may look like just a bunch of garbage stuffed in the glue. A little sanding with my orbital sander, and when I'm done, take a look, blow off the dust. There it is, and I'll put a little saliva on it to bring out the green. Sorry, I went off the screen, but you can see it really pops the color out. For a finish, I'm going to use some Watco wood oil. This gives it a little bit of color, and it soaks in and gives it a deep hardness. So I'll just go around, put one coat on, wipe it off, and then put a second coat on and let it harden. Well, here's the tricky part. I need to run a cable through here before I glue these on. And I've checked, and this one here, when I glue it, I want it to have a gap there of just about a ½ inch floating off of the base. And it looks like about a 1½ inch cable hanging through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run some extra cable through, and then I'm going to put a plug in here. And remember, these plugs that I've made, I have them like this, and I can jam them in a little bit, and then I have a couple of ways to getting them in totally, and that is put it in. Sometimes I take a pliers and I squeeze it in, or I'll try to tap it in with a hammer. So this one I'll try to get in with a hammer first, and I know there's that much left off, so let's just see what we can do. I'm going to set this here, put that about like that, grab my little ball peen hammer, see if I can just even start this. There, I've got it started. So I can take it all the way down. Now that's locked in there, and this is coming down like this, and then I have this, and it's going to come through here. And remember, I want it to be about like that. I want it to kind of go about like that with about a 1 inch dangle. I can always pull it tighter, so I'm going to hold it right there. And then again, this is kind of a tough little operation here. Slip that one out. I want to have about a 1 inch dangle. So I can take that and take another one of my pegs and put it in here. If I just get it started, then it's locked in and I won't have any trouble. There we go. Well, these are sitting pretty much parallel. I cut and threaded some cables through top and bottom holes in all 4 quadrants, and I did that with a little bit left on each side. Now I'm going to take and I'm going to put pegs in all of these holes to hold the wires, and then lift it up and see if I can do it on the top. This is kind of tricky stuff. So this is the fun part. You can see that it's not level. This one is kind of sagging, and this one is taut. So what you can do, I can put a bubble level on here, but I don't need a bubble level to tell me it's not level. And it's also kind of wobbly. So I'm going to take a piece of wood, thin piece of masonite, about a 1/4 inch or 1/8 inch, set it here so I don't do any damage. And I'm going to almost like pull these like I'm tuning a guitar. I'm going to go like this and use the back as a lever, and that pulls it tighter. And you can see that kind of leveled it out a little bit. And I have some sag in here. This one is taut. This one over here is a little bit loose, so I'll just go around and kind of tighten a little bit here and there. See, that one's getting, now this one's real saggy, so I'm going to take this and put it over here. And it's really cool because I can do this, and then I'm going to put a drop of super glue in those channels where the dowels are. There we go. And take a look. So my last step is to take a wire cutter and snip the wire flush, and then go around and sand the little dowels and make them flush up. I might even stain the dowels a little bit so they'll match the dark color. And after I'm done with that, I think I might put a coat of wax on it. But I'm really pleased with the way it looks. Well, here's a finished product. I'm really happy with the way it turned out. I like the little turquoise dot. I wish I had made the cables, vertical cables, a little longer, because I would like to have that middle piece of wood a little bit elevated. But it works really well. I'll show you here. you can take a pot and set it on there and it easily holds weight. You can see. I want to thank you for watching, and I hope maybe you'll try one of these yourself.